I'm here with John Henry Liberty, candidate for U.S. Congress, District 21. How are you doing today, John? John Henry?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
So tell me, why are you running for U.S. Congress?
Well, you know, that's a question I get asked a lot, and the first point would be Lamar Smith. I've seen this man's track record, I've seen the bills that he's put forth, and I've realized that this is not somebody that supports our freedom, that supports our rights, and he clearly supports moneyed interest, whoever's paying him the most, and this is something that we need to get out of Congress because this is the cause of all of our problems.
And what of his policies of Lamar Smith, what's so bad about him that we need to get him out?
Well, I'm sure you've heard of the Stop Online Piracy Act, but I'll go into a little detail about it. It was a bill that was proposed by Lamar Smith in 2011, and it basically proposed China-style censorship over the internet. Now, this wasn't the first bill that he put out to regulate the internet. He put out H.R. 1981, which was essentially an internet spying bill, which would allow and require ISPs to record and retain at least 2 years of your data and become available without a warrant at any time to any federal government agency.
Okay, and what do you make of Lamar Smith's stances on other positions like foreign policy, social services, and banking?
Well, we've seen his policy is very much pro-war. He has voted to extend the troops' occupation. He has voted against bringing them home several times and in several conflicts, which Congress never authorized war for. So we're seeing that he's for the TARP bailouts. He's the least fiscally conservative Republican congressman from Texas. He is ranked 0% by the American Civil Liberties Union on civil liberties. He's literally representing whoever his highest campaign contributors are.
And who are those contributors? Is that something you follow?
Yeah, actually, this year, this election cycle, his #1 campaign contribution has come from the entertainment industry. And we can see from his legislation that about 6 years ago, his highest was technology, and he made a very vocal point about how he urged his fellow colleagues and congressmen not to regulate the internet. And we see 6 years later, now that his campaign contribution has changed to entertainment industry, this is, he's completely made a flip-flop on that decision and has decided to propose this legislation himself.
Do the corporate interests have too much influence in our federal government in Washington today? Absolutely.
What we're seeing with super PACs all over the country is record numbers of spending for campaign contributions and campaign advertisements ever in the history of the United States. And this is putting money above our vote. They're literally diluting our vote with their dollars.
So if you're elected to the U.S. Congress, what are you going to do to make America a more freer and prosperous nation?
Well, I'm very much in line with a lot of Gary Johnson and Ron Paul's views. I want to end the Federal Reserve. I think that a century of this experiment is long enough, and hopefully the third time will be the charm. I want to end all the wars, foreign and domestic. I want to end the war on drugs here at home that's costing us so much money every year. It's costing us our rights, and it's affecting people in other countries. We're seeing border violence and immigration problems because of it, and it's our policies that are creating these things. And we can, again, take out the root source of the problem instead of dealing with all the subsidiary consequences that will never change unless we attack the root.
All right. And how do you plan to accomplish those objectives once you become U.S. Congressman from Texas?
Well, I would like to, I will obviously vote against any bill that raises taxes, any bill that removes freedoms, and I want to propose legislation that would actually protect the internet, to reinstate Glass-Steagall in some way to separate those banking industries from banking depositors from investors, so they're not gambling with Americans' money, and work to solve the immigration problem that we're seeing so much in this issue, or in this country.
Great. And how do you plan to bring all the troops home from not only Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and Yemen, as well as perhaps Syria, but bring them home from Japan, Germany, England, Australia, Italy, these countries, if that is part of your plan?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, all these conflicts need to stop. They're not authorized by Congress, and I think that if we're going to go to war and have armed conflict with another country, it needs to be through the proper channels, and it needs to be accountable through our voting process. So it would be a process, a quick process. It would probably take a couple of years to pull them all out of all the different various ones. We would, it would pull some out and make sure that things were stable, make sure we were helping see things along, and then full withdrawal very rapidly within 4 years.
As soon as feasible.
Yes.
Okay, great. And my other question was going to be based on, I'm kind of blanking out here, sorry, 1 second. What are the duties of a U.S. congressman?
First and foremost is to represent your constituents. It's to represent their freedom and make sure that at the federal level, no one is trying or attempting to steal their freedom from them, and to preserve these inalienable rights. Beyond that, I think that it's important that that Congress works together with the president and promotes legislation that's actually going to help or reduce legislation even that's going to help facilitate our economy's growth and get us out of the economic bumps we're in right now.
Thank you for that. And are you familiar with Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution? The powers of the body of Congress, the federal government?
Right, the power to tax and the power to regulate commerce and all that.
What do you make of those powers?
It's an interesting thing. I think that some of that is good, like the power to be able to tax should be used only in very, very specific times, like defense. If our country is being invaded and we're actually gathering together to build an army to fight off our foes, at that point, yes. In times of peace, no. And that's why we need to return to a time of peace.
I like that answer. And do you believe that the federal government has too much power when it comes to the power of the purse and the sword?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the government enforced monopoly on banking systems and currency is one of the larger sources of our problems that we're seeing economically today. I agree 100% with Ron Paul that we need competing currencies. We've seen that it's starting to work. People are starting to do it on a grassroots level, and we're actually seeing it work. We just need to spread this idea and actually get people to see the results of this labor.
And what do you make of the 10th Amendment?
10th Amendment, I think it's the most prized amendment on there when it comes to our civil liberties being protected from the federal government. That was the explicit concern for them, was that the federal government would overstep their boundaries and be able to tell the states, effectively rule them as a monarchy. And we're kind of seeing that today, how they're overstepping the 10th Amendment rights and bypassing the state's issues, especially with the cannabis issue.
Yes, sir. And what does the future hold for America?
Well, I'm an optimist. So I see a bright future. I see more people waking up to what's really going on. I see more people disillusioned with the two-party system and are actually supporting third-party candidates, not just libertarians, but other parties as well, the Green Party, the Constitutionalist Party. And I think it's very important that we have adequate representation for these people. And I'm happy to see this two-party dichotomy go away, and I see it happening very soon.
Great, thank you so much. We're running out of time. Any last 10-second statement you'd like to make for the viewing audience?
Come November, please vote for John Henry Liberty. Remember, vote for John Henry is a vote for liberty.
Thank you, John Henry Liberty, candidate with the Libertarian Party for U.S. Congress, District 21. We're here in Austin, Texas. Thanks for being with me, John Henry.
Thanks for having me.